What if I told you that the darkness that covered the earth that day wasn't a natural phenomenon, but a heavenly response? It wasn't a cloud, nor an eclipse, nor an astronomical coincidence. It was a cosmic silence, a deep lament from the very heart of heaven. The sun dimmed at noon, right at the hour it should have shone its brightest. The light hid itself, as if creation itself could not bear to witness what was unfolding. The scriptures recount it plainly. From the 6th hour until the 9th hour, darkness came over all the land. 3 hours of darkness in the middle of the day. But it wasn't fear that stilled the world. It was mourning. A sorrow no one fully understood in that moment. Because what was happening on that hill was far more than an execution. It was the most pivotal moment in all of history. A man hung on a wooden cross, unrecognizable from the scourging, disfigured by pain, abandoned by his friends, and yet with his eyes still fixed on heaven, full of love. Who was he? Why does his death move millions? How can a day of such tragedy be called good? It all began with a betrayal cloaked in the darkness of night, and culminated in a cry that tore the veil which separated man from God. A cry that, far from signaling defeat, became the most powerful proclamation ever heard. To truly grasp it, we must go back to the beginning and walk once more toward that cursed hill that became an altar of redemption. There, the blood that flowed was not just a vital fluid. It was covenant. It was promise. It was freedom. Are you ready to witness what many never tell you about what we call Good Friday? Then open your heart. The story is about to begin. The night before, while Jerusalem lay asleep under the shadows of Passover, a man knelt deep in a garden called Gethsemane. There, beneath the olive trees that stood as silent witnesses, the Son of God trembled. Not from ordinary fear, but from divine anguish. He sweat as if his skin wept blood, and it wasn't a metaphor. It was the physical manifestation of a soul being crushed by the weight of the world. He knew what was coming: betrayal, abandonment, humiliation, torture, and finally, the cross. And still, he prayed, "Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me, yet not my will, but yours be done." Imagine that. The creator of the universe asking for compassion, and yet submitting himself entirely out of love. Under the full moon, those who sought him came with torches and swords. They treated him like a criminal. And when they asked for Jesus of Nazareth, he answered with just 2 words, "I am." That alone was enough to make the soldiers fall back and drop to the ground. Who was this man who could disarm the armed with only a word? Heaven knew. Earth did not. But that night judgment began, not upon him, but upon the world. He was brought before the religious authorities, interrogated by high priests, accused by false witnesses, mocked by those who feared the truth he carried. He swore to wear light in the darkness, and on his silence cut deeper than any sword. When asked if he was the Son of God, he didn't waver. "You have said so, and you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of power." The reaction was visceral. They screamed blasphemy, tore their garments, and spat in his face. They couldn't stand the truth. They couldn't bear his holiness. Because when light breaks into darkness, darkness fights back with fury. They took him to Pilate, seeking a sentence of death. The Roman governor, used to judging the worst of men, stood baffled. He found no guilt in Jesus, and yet he yielded to pressure. He had him flogged, not with mere rods, but with whips laced with metal and bone, designed to rip flesh apart. They dressed him in a purple robe, pressed a crown of thorns onto his head, and mocked him. "Hail, King of the Jews!" And where were those who had welcomed him days before with palm branches and songs? The silence of the people cut deeper than the nails that would soon pierce his body. Pilate tried to wash his hands, as if water could cleanse a stained conscience. Then the crowd uttered a chilling phrase: "Let his blood be on us and on our children." Words meant as a curse, but heaven transformed them into a blessing. That blood would change everything. With the cross on his back, Jesus walked the Via Dolorosa. Each step was a silent declaration of love. He didn't flee. He didn't curse. He didn't resist. His body, beaten and frail, pressed forward to Golgotha, the place of the skull. There, between two thieves, they crucified him, naked, unrecognizable, suffering. Iron pierced his wrists and feet. The cross was raised, and his body hung suspended between heaven and earth. Below him, soldiers gambled for his garments. Onlookers stared, some in pity, others in mockery. "If you're the Son of God, come down from the cross," they shouted. But he didn't. Not because he couldn't, but because he mustn't. His purpose was to remain, not to escape. One thief cursed him. The other looked at him with trembling faith. "Remember me when you come into your kingdom." And Jesus, even in agony, gave him eternal hope. "Today you will be with me in paradise," that same day. Through arms of pain and rivers of blood, Jesus offered forgiveness. In the midst of abandonment, he extended grace. Not even death could strip him of his kingship. Then, the unthinkable happened. From noon until 3, the sky turned black. It wasn't an eclipse. It was creation itself, mourning. Jesus bore something greater than pain. He carried the crushing weight of the world's sin. It wasn't just suffering. It was the total absence of the Father's presence. Then came the cry, "My God, man, why have you forsaken me?" That cry wasn't weakness. It was the sound of redemption being born. In that moment, Jesus bore every wound, every failure, every chain that separated us from God. The Father turned away so we could turn toward him. And though all seemed lost, that was the moment heaven was drawing near. He whispered, "I thirst." They offered him vinegar. Then, summoning all remaining strength, he declared, "It is finished." Not a whisper of defeat, but a roar of victory. The sacrifice was complete, the debt paid, the sentence overturned. And as he breathed his last, the veil in the temple, what had long separated man from God, was torn in two from top to bottom. Not by human hands. It was heaven declaring, "There is no more separation." the Roman centurion, hardened by death, fell to his knees. "Truly this man was the Son of God," he said, trembling. And the earth responded with an earthquake. Rocks split, tombs broke open, and the dead rose. Even creation could not stay still at the death of its Creator. In Jerusalem, confusion reigned. The temple was exposed. The holiest place had been opened, no longer a room, now an invitation. At the hill, only a few remained. Mary, his mother, wept with a grief that only heaven could carry. John stood beside her, shaken. The faithful women mourned. The others had fled, because when God reveals himself through sacrifice, many cannot handle the weight of such love. Evening came. The law said that he could not remain on the cross. A man named Joseph of Arimathea, once silent, now bold, asked for Jesus' body. He wrapped it in clean linen and placed it in a new tomb, hewn into stone, a borrowed tomb, because he would only need it for a short while. They sealed the entrance with a great stone. Guards were posted. The leaders feared more than a memory. They feared his words. He had said he would rise. They didn't believe it, but they feared it might be true. The women stood at a distance, watching. The sun set, and with it came a silence that echoed like defeat. But deep in that tomb, something holy was beginning to stir. Saturday came, the Sabbath, a day meant for rest, but no one rested. The disciples were hidden, terrified. Their Messiah, their hope, was gone. How could it end this way? The one who walked on water, who raised the dead, who forgave sins, buried. But Sunday was coming, because the story doesn't end at the cross. It is finished wasn't the end. It was the beginning of the impossible becoming real, the beginning of mercy triumphing over judgment, the beginning of death losing its sting. The man, wrapped in linen, would soon rise as a lion. And when he did, the world would never be the same.